There is no Bitcoin company, there is no Bitcoin building, there's not even a Bitcoin server anywhere that you could shut down. It is completely distributed. That's what's unique about Bitcoin. It is, for the first time, a way for the two of us to exchange value online without a third-party intermediary. Until the invention of Bitcoin, for you and me to exchange money online, we had to employ a third party, like PayPal, like Visa, like MasterCard.
Well, Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be. Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place. And of course, for large transactions, currency can get pretty inconvenient. The customers we're talking about aren't trying to be anonymous. You know, they're willing to be known. So the Bitcoin technology is key, and you could add to it, or you could build a similar technology where there's enough attribution that people feel comfortable. This has nothing to do with terrorism or any type of money laundering.
About it earlier, but Bitcoin and things like it is the equivalent of the red pill. Okay? We are entering a completely world of uncharted water right now.
Have you made any investments in Bitcoin?
So I mean, I own Bitcoin in my hedge fund, I own Bitcoin in my fund, I own Bitcoin in my private account. It is a huge deal. It's a huge, huge, huge deal. Because what you're talking about right now is, for the next 3 to 5 years, an unbelievably better store of value. It is gold 2.0, right? The value of gold that hedges the world economy, about $9 trillion, right? 1,300 an ounce, of which only $100 to $150 is the actual production value. So all the rest of it is imputed, where, Lena, you and I have decided that it's worth 1,300 an ounce. Well, guess what? I can do the same thing with Bitcoin, except now I can do it outside the purview of every single government. It's being used everywhere where you would think it would be used. Russia, Iran, Iraq, Egypt, Venezuela, Argentina, everywhere where you have currency pressure, everywhere where you want to basically shield your assets. And then after that, it'll probably become a payment mechanism. So in all of these three industries, you're talking about trillions of dollars up for grabs. Up for grabs.
But
right?
Bitcoin, I'm still predicting Bitcoin, $10,000 per Bitcoin in 3 years. It's a hedge against a lot of fiat currencies. It's a new way of transferring cash throughout the world in a much more efficient way. And Bitcoin has created a whole infrastructure of many, many companies, some of which came out of Boost, the incubator. And those companies are creating this whole new culture, this whole new way of thinking.
Bitcoin trading at 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. Rick Falkvinia does an excellent analysis. He predicts that Bitcoin will capture between 1 and 10% of the global Forex market, which implies a price of between $100,000 to $1 million per Bitcoin. Most of the people who are on the sidelines not buying Bitcoin today will start to buy Bitcoin when it gets over 1,000. And then a greater percentage of people will definitely plow into Bitcoin when it starts to get over 10,000.
Currency is the future, or is it the payment system they're developing?
Bingo, it's the payment system. It's the blockchain encryption, and they're interesting things. I think Bitcoin, or the really blockchain encryption that's behind it, has a greater ability to bring more of the world's population out of poverty than anything we've seen in...
Well, for one thing, it's a cheap payment system.
For one thing, it's a cheap payment system, but it's more important than that. It's more important than that. Blockchain cryptography is all about digital transfer of ownership in a completely transparent and public way.
Bitcoin is something that you've been interested in and supportive of. In fact, one can pay for a tour on Virgin Galactic up to the moon with Bitcoin. I think the Winklevoss twins have said that they would do exactly that. You think this is a currency that's really going to work eventually?
Well, I think it is working, and there will be other currencies like it that may be even better. But in the meantime, there's a big industry around Bitcoin, and you know, people have made fortunes out of Bitcoin. Some people have lost money out of Bitcoin.
Good morning and welcome to today's conference call as we discuss what's happening in the world of Bitcoin and the opportunities therein. So my name is James Hardy. I want to share with you what's happening with Bitcoin. First we'll talk about Bitcoin as an all-time history. So you can see that Bitcoin is at about 4,300 right now, and of course Bitcoin started at less than a penny, and back in the day, the inventors of Bitcoin were trying to determine how they could basically move value from one person to another without having to use a third party, a peer-to-peer network. And they created Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency. And one of the first successful transactions they had was where somebody purchased 2 Papa John's pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. Today, that 10,000 Bitcoin would be about $4.3 million. So those are some expensive pizzas. But Bitcoin continued to become more and more accessible, more and more easy to use, and now it has basically created a complete revolution, now 9 years later, to where people are utilizing Bitcoin to the point of over 400,000 transactions a day. And people are purchasing something with Bitcoin. And today, you can buy Bitcoin. You can buy Bitcoin from hundreds of different exchanges. We're on an exchange right now called Coinbase, which is a US-based exchange. And there are literally hundreds of exchanges all over the country of people who are buying and selling Bitcoin to individuals. And there's certainly other cryptocurrencies. But Bitcoin is the largest. It will eventually reach 21 million Bitcoin. And because it has a minimum, a maximum amount of Bitcoin, and because there is a limited supply of Bitcoin, and it's because the value and the increase in usage of Bitcoin continues to go up, the price goes up. And you can see it's gone up from literally $13 back in 2013 to $4,300. But you'll also see that this month has been a wild ride. We've seen Bitcoin top almost 5,000, just under 5,000, and we've seen some tremendous ups and some tremendous profit taking. If we analyze it for the last year, if somebody was to look at Bitcoin as an annual rate of return investment, this year they would have been extremely happy because they would have had over 589% return. And that was up over 600, but it came down a little bit this week. In fact, it came down a little bit in the last 24 hours. You can see that the price really dropped this last couple days, but that's because it spiked so high. So this up and down of this roller coaster ride of Bitcoin pricing is actually one of the great opportunities. If you have a commodity or stock or some kind of an asset that is going up in value over the long haul, but it's going up and down every single day, well, this presents an opportunity for traders. High-frequency traders will trade sometimes hundreds of times a minute, even hundreds of times a second, as they're trading a value of something that's either going straight up or straight down. So a lot of the high-frequency traders don't care whether something's going up or down. It's just actually amazing as to what's happening. And I got to be corrected. The value of Bitcoin would be $43 million, not $4.2 million for that pizza. So, man, if you'd only bought one pizza, you'd still have $43 million. Unbelievable. So the wild story of Bitcoin is incredible. But what if there was a way for you to take advantage of the upsides of Bitcoin and not have to worry about the downside? Today we're seeing that Bitcoin is down from its previous high, literally just a few days ago. A few days ago it was at 4,700 and it dropped all the way down to 4,182. That seemed to be the low. So we constantly are trying to, find a new low and then find a new high. And so for anybody who's buying Bitcoin, today would be a great day to buy Bitcoin. What I'm about to share with you is a concept of why it's always good to buy Bitcoin. Because if you could get a return of Bitcoin that was always positive, that would be something to consider. So the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to acquire Bitcoin and multiply it. I'm going to show you how to do this without having to, recruit any other people. You can actually just do this on your own. But if you do want to share this with others, you can earn more Bitcoin. But you don't have to, pay any fees to get involved with what I'm about to share with you. And this is something that, I think is a roadmap to tremendous financial success. And it's a company called USI. Now, USI-Tech has been in the industry for many years. They've been experts in Forex trading. But over the last few years, they've taken their own monies and they put it into trading, mining, arbitrage, things with Bitcoin, even ICOs, which is initial coin offerings. And they have had tremendous success, tremendous returns. And the founders decided that they wanted to offer something that was for a small investor, not just a big investor, and that they wanted to make this available to almost anybody in the world. So they created what's called a BTC package. Now, a BTC package was introduced this year, about 6 months ago, and it is a revolutionary Bitcoin opportunity. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, is this Bitcoin package, this BTC package. So when you purchase a BTC package, you're purchasing it from USI-Tech, and you're using Bitcoin. And what they're offering you is very simple. It's an increase in Bitcoin of 40%. So they're saying, look, if you will buy a BTC package from us, we will return 40% more Bitcoin. Now, what that means is actually 140% because you're going to get all of your principal back plus 40% more. And they're going to do it in approximately 140 days. Now, you might say, well, why isn't it a set period of time? Well, because it depends on the rate of return that they receive on their investments on a daily basis. But on an average, they're paying out about 1% every day. So you could do the math. If you were getting 1% every day in 140 days, that would be 140%. And that's why we're saying that on average you're going to get about 1% a day, and on average we pay back in about 140 business days. A business day is a trading day. It's a Monday through Friday. Today is today's a Saturday, so there's no trading activities. Now you can buy and put money into the system every day, and you actually can pull money out every single day. But the actual returns are only calculated on business days. And you can do this with as little as $65. A BTC package is purchased with Bitcoin, but at the rate of 50 euro. And then when you calculate the cost of buying Bitcoin, it works out to about $65 US. And the returns, as I said, will vary from 0.75 to 0.125, which will average about 1%. Now, I'm going to show you what would happen is if you purchased more than one package, if you purchased maybe 20 packages. So if you purchased 20 packages, that would cost you 1,000 euro. And that 1,000 euro would be about 1,200 US dollars. Now, you can't use US dollars. We're just trying to share with you that most people still think in US dollars. It's my goal for you to actually start thinking in terms of Bitcoin very soon and recognize that as a real currency that you can utilize for creating wealth and for purchasing other products. So all purchases of packages must be done in Bitcoin. So in this example, someone wanted to buy 20 BTC packages, and so that cost them 0.92 Bitcoin. The reason why it's 0.92 Bitcoin is because that's what the price of Bitcoin for that amount of packages was at that time. And so it'll change every single day. As the price of Bitcoin goes up, so if like this Bitcoin price went up to say 5,000, then the amount of Bitcoin that you would have to purchase to get those same packages would be, less Bitcoin. So as the price goes down, you're going to have to, you're going to be getting a little bit more Bitcoin. It's kind of interesting because the price of a package never changes. Okay, a price of a package is always 50 euro. For 20 packages, it's 1,000 euro. But how much you have to spend in Bitcoin is relative. You see, when I started this, one Bitcoin was $1,000 when I started getting involved in Bitcoin. And so if I was going to go purchase, if I was going to go purchase 1,000 packages, 1,000 euro, which is 20 packages, that would have cost me one full Bitcoin. Okay? Well, if I'm going to get a 40% increase on my Bitcoin, then that means today I would have 1.4 Bitcoin after the total of 140 days, after the payout. Well, the interesting thing is if I went to go ahead and cash in that 1.4 Bitcoin, and let's say that Bitcoin was now at 5,000, which is where it hit last week. The high of last week was about 5,000. Well, now I have 1.4 of 5,000. That's not a 40% return, is it? Let's figure that out. So if I bought one Bitcoin, I buy 20 packages, and it costs one Bitcoin, $1,000, which is what it cost, back here. You say, how are you getting that price? Well, let's just look. Let's go back a ways. Let's go back 6 months. So going back to March 8th, and Bitcoin was under $1,000. So if I bought a package back then, if I bought 20 packages, it would have cost me one Bitcoin, roughly. Well, now all of a sudden, 40 days later, I'm getting back 1.4 Bitcoin. I got 1.4 Bitcoin. Is that worth $1,400? No. It's worth 1.4 Bitcoin. Well, if 1.4 Bitcoin happens to be what it is worth here, let's say I cashed it out on this day, hard to get that day, at 4,700, that would be pretty crazy. That means that I would roughly have about a $9,000 investment. I would have an increase up to 9,000 because we went from one Bitcoin of 1,000 to 1.4 Bitcoin at approximately 4,700. So the returns can be exponential. It's hard to show what the returns can be, but here's what I know they will be: 40% more of the Bitcoin that you put in. So let's go and show this. So in 140 days, you're going to have this 20 Bitcoin go up to 1.4 Bitcoin. So this 0.92 would be 40% more than that. Now, this little slide shows you something so powerful. It's called the automatic rebuy, because it's assuming that you're not just going to sit your money and let it sit there. You're going to let that money compound. So what that means is that in 140 days, if every time you got any revenue that came in from this, any Bitcoin, you let that Bitcoin buy more packages, and every time there's at least $60 in there, you're going to buy another package, you would actually have 78 packages. So you use the increase in Bitcoin, so in other words, the amount of Bitcoin that you got was now 0.746, and you used all of that to purchase more packages. So now you have over $3,000 of US in the system, over 2,554 euro if you complete the comparison. So you have 2.5 times your increase. Now that was only in 140 days. But that's only because you rebought. So that doesn't mean that 100% of that money is liquid. Remember, you're keeping your money in here in order to get that 40% increase for approximately 140 days. So if you kept rolling this for another 140 days down to 280, you now have 126 packages. And now it's 1.4 Bitcoin. That is certainly more than 40% increase. That's a 5x increase. So the magic of compounding Bitcoin packages is more powerful than the magic of compounding interest. And Albert Einstein said that the eighth wonder of the world was the compounding of interest. So we're actually showing you something that's more powerful than most money people have ever seen in their lives. Now, I've been in the money industry for the last 30 years. I've been, a licensed, broker, and I've had over 10,000 agents that I've hired and trained in the securities and insurance industry. And I've never seen anything as powerful as a BTC package compounding. The returns are simply unbelievable, but they're real. And let's analyze it. So here's a calculator that says if I bought 100 packages, which we know would be about $6,000 and $6,500 with the exchange fees. Now, quite honestly, most people won't find that good of a deal. That's about paying 5%. Most exchanges are much higher than 5%. They're usually in the 10% range. But I'm just using an example of the 5% range. So if you let this grow for 260 days, 1 calendar year, and let's say it cost you 1.8 Bitcoin. The reason why we don't know what the cost of the Bitcoin is because the Bitcoin is changing every minute. When we started, it was around under 4,300. It was 4,295. Now it's up 15 points. And before we're done with this call, it will be changed another 15 points, plus or minus. We don't know. So when you purchase your packages, you pay some amount of Bitcoin. Then what happens is over time, you are getting more packages. Because if you're getting a 1% daily return, and 1% of 6,000 is enough to buy another package. So day 2, you're going to have 101 packages because you started with 100, and your increase allowed you to have enough money to buy another package. Day 3, you buy another package. Day 4, you might buy 2 more packages because it's compounding that the return is getting higher because there's more money in. So now all of a sudden, after a year, you have 597 packages. Well, heck, at 597 packages, that means I'm earning 6 new packages per day. So the compounding effect is incredible. I'm earning 6 times more packages after a year than I was when I started. And so now that I have 600% more packages, 597 packages, crazy. So if I was still getting 1% on that, now look at what I'm earning per day, 0.1 Bitcoin. Well, if you're getting 0.1 Bitcoin today on a value of $5,000 of Bitcoin, that'd be $500 a day you're getting. Truly amazing. So the total earnings is 8.4 Bitcoin. We don't know what that is in dollars and cents because if we were doing this when Bitcoin was only 1,000 and we ended it and Bitcoin was 5,000, the return is exponential. But we do know we have 4 times more Bitcoin. So a lot of people say, well, James, what if you do this and the price of Bitcoin goes down? You know, what if we experience, you know, something like, it's hard to even find a period of time where Bitcoin went down, but let's just say we find this period of time. Bitcoin spiked so much from this period in the new days, and then there were some bad things that happened, and so people were speculative, and so Bitcoin went down. Look, if during this period of time, if your Bitcoin went down from let's say 1,000 down to 800 in 6 months, would you be bummed? Sure. But if you had 140% more Bitcoin, if you had 40% more Bitcoin, you'd actually still be ahead of the game. We can't find one period of 6 months' time where you would have made less putting your money in USI than you would have put it in Bitcoin. In fact, it's impossible, okay, because you're getting 40% more Bitcoin. So then as the Bitcoin price rebounded and it came back, then they ate even more. So I'm just sharing with you that if you want to really accumulate a great return, use USI because you're going to get 40% more. If you go another year, so you go 520 days, now it really starts to compound. This is where the craziness is. You now have 2,200 packages. You only started with 100. And all of a sudden you have 31 Bitcoin after just 2 years. We don't have any idea where Bitcoin is going to be in 2 years. I will tell you that the speculators speculated that this year Bitcoin would go from this price down here of 1,000, where is 1,000? Can't even find 1,000. Okay, the Bitcoin was going to go from a price of 1,000 down here up to 2,000. It was going to double. That's what the projections were. They were wrong. It went up 500% in 1 year. Okay, and actually most of this growth happened in just 6 months. And so it's really exciting to think that Bitcoin might go up to 10,000, and now all of a sudden your 31 Bitcoin is worth $300,000. So I'm not here to convince you of what's going to happen in the future. What I am going to tell you is that this gentleman by the name of Horace Jika is the CEO, and that he has created some other successful companies. He's already worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He didn't need to start this company in order to get your Bitcoin. They're making plenty of money on their trading and arbitrage. But by utilizing their Bitcoin, they're creating even more returns, and they're creating a company that's going to create a lot of wealth for a lot of people. And they're actually doing this in a way that this could be a company that they're taking public. Now, to me, that means great, and a lot of great things to me, because they're using proper accounting procedures. They're using proper compliance. We have a third-party letter from a third-party attorney that basically did an opinion letter that said that, hey, you know, this company, USI, is compliant in all areas. They don't have any complaints. That they validated their Bitcoin mining and trading operations, and that they're real, and that everything about what they're doing, they couldn't find anything about them that, you know, set off any red flags. So it's their opinion that they're legal, that there's no complaints, that there's no pending lawsuits, that they're compliant in all of the regulatory states and countries that they're working in, which is not easy because they're in the U.S. So they are having to follow all the rules of the U.S. Not only in the basic aspect of building, but everything. So as a result here, what we have is we have the ability for you to compound your earnings. So when you get started with USI, you simply just click the settings and you can put on or off. And what that means is all of the packages that you earn will continue to create more packages. Or you can just take the money in cash. So if anyone says, hey, can I get my money out right away? You can access your money anytime you want. Now, all you do is you go to this button here called withdrawal, and you can access your money. So there's no reason to leave your money in. Now remember, your packages are going to pay out at about 1% over 140 days. So you can take those earnings out every day, or you can use those earnings to create more packages. Now I want to talk about the commissions. In order for you to get paid, all you have to do is sign up and refer this to someone else, and you will get 10%. So in that example where someone did $100,000, okay, if they put in $100,000 into, excuse me, it was only $6,000. If they did 100 packages and they did $6,000 of investment, you would get 10% of that. You would get $600. But what's crazy is that those packages created another 2,200 packages over the next 2 years. So times 600 times 22, and that's how much additional commissions you would be earning over the next 2 years. So if you get started in this and you make a small amount of money referring 3 or 4 people, just know that if those people continue to use their account to purchase more packages, you're going to get earned anywhere from 10 to 20 times more money without having one new client, without one new dollar of investment. Because what's happening is you're getting paid on new packages that were created from old packages. That is such a powerful concept that I can't even do it justice by showing a graph. It's just too amazing. So what we can show you is that what could happen is if you referred others. Because if you refer someone who refers someone, you can get paid down as low as 12 levels on this. So on the first 3 levels, you get paid 10% on the first level, and then on the next 2 levels, you get 3%. But you do have to qualify for that. You don't have to purchase anything. There are no purchase required ever, okay? But what you do have to do in order to get paid on other levels is you have to refer 3 people, and they have to each do 12 packages, okay? So once they all have 12 packages in their system, and you have 3, you start getting paid on levels 2 and 3. To get paid on levels 4 through 12, those 3 people need to have at least 25 packages. Now, I've been at this for 90 days, and I now have over 1,500 people in my organization, and it just keeps growing daily. And now I'm getting paid on people at all these different levels. And I can tell you, you're going to get paid a lot more money the deeper the levels go, because the more people you have, and they're all getting paid at 3% on the first levels all the way from 4 to 8. Okay? So that can be a tremendous amount of income. So if you're looking for a compensation plan that allows you to get paid long-term on your people, I don't think you'll find a better one than USI. So they've used sort of a cross between an affiliate program like an Amazon.com affiliate program and a network marketing model. And what this does is it gives you unlimited income potential. There's no restrictions, no maximums, no complicated structures, just very simple, very easy to use. So in closing here, let's just review what we talked about. A company that is taking advantage of the cryptocurrency world and giving you an opportunity to be a part of that. You do not have to recruit anyone to get paid. You don't have to pay any fees to join, and there are no monthly fees to be affiliated with this. All you simply do is go back to the person who referred you, go to their website, and as a result of being on their website, you then can be introduced to the company and start using the platform. And literally, you can just start building this as big as you choose to. So in closing, get back to the person who invited you, and I think you'll have tremendous success. It is Saturday morning, so I do want to end the webinar